I just wrote something on Facebook. It says, talking to yourself means that you are the most intelligent person in the room because you are the only person in the room. And yes, water is also wet. I say that water is also wet because that's like speaking a no duh. That's like stating the obvious. All of that. So anyways, I switched to a lower activity coffee because with all these frequencies, the way they are, the way they shift, I even felt a frequency shift in my right ear about maybe 15 minutes ago. When you have a high frequency coffee like Bustelo Espresso, it's great when you're in a low frequency environment and it's consistently low. And then also some people have a more of a sluggish immune system, so coffee gives them the extra push to get things moving, which is why people poop after they have coffee and all that. So those that are type O that are bigger, they love the coffee because it wakes up everything, right? The adrenaline, it wakes up everything. I wake up wide awake. I like the coffee, especially now because I'm so sensitive to it, especially Bustelos, because with the way the frequencies are and the way my system is, it's purified. I'll say it's purified, and it has high communication, high connectivity. Coffee or the Bustelos is so much more aggressive, and then aggressive, and then the frequencies on top of that then make the coffee stronger because you're adding in not only the coffee ions, but then you're adding in the frequency ions and then any other ions that you get in touch with. So it's like, so I decided to switch to the pods that have the chocolate, and there's like a peanut butter and chocolate from Harry and David's from Christmas a couple years ago. And so I just stuck that in the coffee pot. And I'm drinking that with the whipped cream, and it's pretty good. Because I want to see how that will affect me. Because we know the frequencies are still very strong. And so in the J world, when you become sensitive to your environment, you'll notice how you're going to have to adjust what your intake of what your usual morning routines. It's like foods. I'm telling you, it's crazy when you realize how influential the environment is. It is so crazy when you realize how influential the environment is, and you have to adjust things. And you can't always do the same thing over again, okay? I'm telling you again, drinking coffee is not a bad thing, but relative to your lifestyle, belief system, the environment, all of that, everything is about adjusting. And what would make you adjust? Because again, when you know the frequencies are that much, they're that aggressive, and you're hungry, and you have to actually put yourself to sleep in order to calm down the energy, you know that there's a lot of energy going on inside, and you know there's a lot of energy going on out there. But remember, I'm skinnier right now than most people. I've purged all my demons more than most people. So don't take what I'm doing as something that you have to do as far as saying, oh God, coffee is bad. No, coffee is not bad, because some people, they have a sluggish immune system. They need the coffee to get things moving. Okay? And you don't want to be doing the salt and water all the time to get things moving, because you'll cure yourself. And so that's what the coffee is. It's a food. It helps things, especially for people who are type O, who are bigger, to get things moving. Again, type A and B may not need as much of the coffee when you think about it. It can be habitual because of taste, but it also can really cause a lot of ionic energy, a lot of energy to then make you then try to keep up with eating and then also sleeping. Okay. And so I was looking at somebody's post, Sherry Lemoo's post, and I'll tell you, I'm not bagging on her. I'm not doing anything at all to say anything what she said is wrong. I'm actually looking at what was written about informed consent and the V's. And let me just read this, okay? Hold on, because I wanted to agree and say absolutely, I freaking agree, okay? Because remember, we all came from the whole anti-V movement, okay? A lot of us, not all of us, a lot of us came from that. And that's still what we still predominantly go to. I mean, even me, because I know how influential and how influential any kind of therapies are. And then when you trigger something in someone's immune system, you trigger something somewhere, anywhere, it causes a chain reaction of events that most people are not prepared for. And you have to warn them, you have to prepare them for that chain reaction of events and tell them how to, well, teach them how to respond to it so they can survive it, not die from it, and then go on another string of therapies. But that's like, holy shit. And so I wanted to read this and say, okay, so the 21st Century Cures Act, H.R. 34, this is from an activist post in March 28, 2017, became law in December 2016, and most people have no idea what it contains. Essentially, it redefines what it means to buy informed consent. Or put another way, it expands the ability for big PHARMA to experiment on the population under the assumption that the dangers of Vs and pharmaceuticals are too minimal for serious consideration. And then Melissa and Aaron Dykes dig into the language and implications of HR 34. Okay, so we get that they have minimized what could potentially be a really aggressive negative reaction when your body gets triggered, when your immune system gets triggered and it's not prepared to do that. It's the same thing with the J world. It's the same thing with the J world. I wanted to respond and say, well, you could put on the back of the bottle, you can put on the side of the bottle, you can put like in big block letters, this is potentially what could happen or what you'd be feeling. You'd feel this type of diagnosable condition. You feel this type of diagnosable condition. You feel this type of diagnosable condition. And even if you put it in big block letters, this is what could happen. The other side of it is if you do take this, it could potentially make your side effects that would happen anyways lesser. But then again, as you know, nothing is ever forever. That's just a temporary fix, okay? That eventually, even if you make that situation lesser at the time of impact, eventually over time it's going to compound and turn into something else when you're trying to stop what was supposed to happen anyways. If you already have predisposed issues, it's not going to matter how much you lessen the blow with a V or with anything. I mean, if it's set to happen, you could try to soften it, but eventually if you're not actually facing it, it's like you're setting yourself up for failure. And so the J world was the same kind of thing. The people are like, oh my God, Jillian hurt me, Jillian did this, and I didn't do anything. Nothing is poisonous in the J juice, okay? It's just ionic activity, no different than the V's. It's ionic activity. It has things in it that, yes, causes a chemical reaction, though that it relative to your expectation. You may not be prepared for that, and then people get pissed off, and then they start blaming, and I completely understand because you're not expecting that kind of reaction. You're expecting to have a lesser reaction relative to your expectation. And we don't even know what lesser is, because if you didn't know what the major reaction is, then saying that taking this would make it a lesser reaction is like, okay, that's what the issue is. But how do you explain that to a population that's never been conditioned to deal with pain? So I wanted to respond and say, it's too bad that humans aren't conditioned to deal with pain. It's too bad that humans aren't conditioned to understand what it means to support the pain and to pull it out and to rest and to, and all this stuff, and to learn how to modify the way you do stuff so you can balance everything in your environment. It's too bad humans right now in this society have not been conditioned to that. So the J juice, something like a V, any kind of activity in the environment, they won't be able to handle it. They will not be able to handle it. So it won't matter what triggers your immune system. But I'm not going to say that on her post. I like Sherry Lemieux. I'm not trying to attack her. I understand where she's coming from. And then I also look at the J world, and I could replace everything with the things like the V and Big Pharma and put in J juice, and it would have the same stuff. And I'm just like, and that was like a major awakening, because I'm like, I can't say anything on this. I can't say I agree with her. I can't say, oh my God, yes. Because they've been telling you, like I've been telling you, read the files, read the fucking book. This is not something, it's not a shortcut. You're going to have to face your demons, no matter what, whether it's a V, whether it's a J juice, whether it's the freaking ionic activity in the environment, whether it's climate change. If you have predisposed issues, you're going to have to fucking deal with it. And you're going to have to support it correctly. You're going to have to really change your lifestyle and belief system. It doesn't make me a prophet. It doesn't make me better than somebody else. It makes me more aware that we have been taught and been conditioned for something way less than what we're dealing with right now. We were not taught and conditioned for a very aggressive environment. We were conditioned for a very, very unaggressive environment. And then some people got the gifts, like again, like type A and type B. and negatives, whatever, they got the gift of extreme energy conversion, of which then their brain works faster. That's why John's so fucking smart, probably too smart for his own good in some ways, okay? And that's why people who are type A and type B are in the sciences field, are in the analytical fields, because their brain works like a fucking machine. And then you have those that are like type O, who are big and burly, like over here in Ohio, like my husband, like me. I was in a family of type A's and B's, all fucking smart in the head. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be converted into a type A and B because that's too much activity. I was starving as a fucking child. You think that taking on that kind of aggressive energy, I was going to survive that? So that's why I left, because there's no way I was going to take on that kind of dynamic ionic energy. I wouldn't survive it. There was no fucking way. Okay. And so I come here to Ohio, where it's mostly type O's. When you think about it, yeah, there's a few type A's and B's, I'm sure, in the sciences field and the analytical field, but the blue collar labor most type are the type O's. And of course, that's where the sluggishness of their immune system comes in. That's why my husband lives off of fucking coffee. Now I get it. Now I understand my husband's, and how he's so able to do what he does and get through the sicknesses. I got through sicknesses pretty fast too, but it was years and years of compounding my issues with all the therapies is what caused my issues. And then the PMDD was like crazy. But I understand now why he lives off of coffee. I get it, because yes, it really helps things get moving. Okay. And wow, that's a realization. When you really think about it, that's a realization. So, and I can't say to people, well, you're going to have to face your demons. Let me tell you, people are suffering so much, they want to find some kind of relief. And in this environment, you're not getting the relief. You're going to be going from drug to drug, herb to herb, relief to relief, until who knows what. And so, let me go to that post. I gotta blow my nose. Ah, crap. I knew I had a freaking napkin somewhere, but. And you see, I'm not even on that espresso. I'm on that freaking pod coffee. Okay? And this is not even espresso. I'm already amped up. I mean, that's how aggressive this environment is. And John goes, speaking of nefarious, when we receive a legal letter, over here it says on the envelope, private and confidential, not to be discussed with anyone else. Talk about nefarious. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, when you get served over here by the court system, you got to go and defend yourself like you wouldn't believe. Yeah. Abso-freaking-lutely. And so, yeah, I wanted to put her name with Shirley Moo because I wanted her to know that I was responding to it. Not that I'm trying to put her all under. No, because I understand where she's coming from. I fucking get it. I completely agree with her that we have to condition everyone. And I've been trying to condition people. I'm trying to do the job of a fucking medical holistic system in a really influential environment. And of course, I don't get help by any of the medical holistic system because they don't want to feel pain, and they've been conditioned to tell their patients that, oh, now we got to take the pain away and take out more organs, and here, let me give you a tincture and this and that and that. And so, yeah, so I'm doing the job of what the fucking system should have done to you a long time ago, which is condition you for a very aggressive environment called climate change, because they knew it was going to happen. Okay? I mean, them warning us, climate change, whether or not it is contrived or it's a cycle. And then we knew that the cycle was going to happen when the sun sunk in this longitude and this latitude at this time and this. Okay, if they told you the climate was going to change and it was going to flip all the different poles and whatever the hell it is, okay, what do you think they should have conditioned you to deal with the increased particle acceleration? You think no, they want you more on the fucking drugs and more on the remedies and more on the surgeries, and so I get where the hell she's coming from. But again, remember, I'm telling people now you got to face the pain, and that at some point, you're going to feed it with food, of course, but at some point, yeah, everything is going to trigger that was already predisposed in you, and you can't just go find something else to go and cure it because it's not going to last very long. People feel like that they found, the next thing to slice bread when they get some kind of relief. But that will only last so long until the climate shifts again. And I've been feeling the shifting of the climate. Okay? And so your cures will only last so long. And when they become stronger and stronger, that's when you're done. When they become that strong where you don't feel anything in this environment, it's just a matter of time when the diet suddenlies happen. And that's what people are reacting to, is all the diet suddenlies. Absolutely. Because you were never conditioned for this. And so some people just have given up. They're like, okay, I'm going to go play around with the world, play with the world, and do what I got to do, because they know that they don't have the support structure. They don't have the forethought. They don't have the strategy to set their life up to deal with this, with having to deal with so much stuff. Because their husband, their wife, their kids, their social circles will not allow them to disengage. That's the thing, is that what happens when people get jailed by their friends and their family and high expectations. And so some people need to take the time off. Some people need to disengage from their friends and their family and their job and all that stuff because of how far gone they are. They don't even know it. They can't feel it. Yeah, when you're taking away indicators, you feel like nothing is wrong. Everything's great. It is until it isn't, right? And so I said, Share the mood, my response, thought-provoking. I think about the J world and what you would have to deal with. It makes me sad that humans can't handle any kind of evolution or handling pain. The fact that we can be so conditioned not to deal with evolution. Oh yeah, God, I hate when I do talk to text. But the fact is that we have not been conditioned to deal with so much evolution. And so we have been asleep for such a long time. Like, we seriously have been asleep for such a long time. And that you had to pay for the knowledge, pay for the light, pay for the energy. And so when you're gifted that energy, like being a type A and a type B, and then you're able to process information faster than someone who's a type O, then people think that, oh yeah, that's a god, right? Like Einstein and those of the like my dad, he's a scientist. My mom is a scientist. I'm sure they're both type A and B on some level. My sister, she's probably a type A or type B. I have never gotten confirmation from her. I never asked her, but she's also very smart. Okay. And here I am. I was the rebel in the fucking family. I mean, I'm in a family of adopted people, and I'm the one that ran away first. I'm the one that said, hey, I got to get out of here. This is insane. This is too much energy. Too much. It was going to kill me. I mean, you can't have too much light and destroy you. Okay? And so you got to realize that. That's why I can see things now for what they are, given my background. It doesn't make me specialer. It just means that I've had to overcome so much, and I have a wanting to understand things. I've taken the time. I stay home most of the time, because what do you do when you're out there? You either drink, you go out to eat, maybe you do some illicit drugs or prescription drugs, whatever. Okay. Maybe you go to a movie, you get distracted. You're seeing stuff, new stuff if you're traveling. And I've traveled a lot. So what do you do when you're out there? You're distracted, or you're working. And you're making money for somebody else so you can make money for yourself, so you can have the lifestyle that you want and feed yourself. And so when I'm not out there distracted with everybody and everything, what do? I feed my brain information. I find out about stuff. I have such a thirst for knowledge, and it's a lot of light. When the internet came around, oh my God, social media was like the thing. I mean, I remember MySpace, and I'm sitting in the showroom of a mattress company over there in Arden Arcade in Sacramento, and it's dark outside, and it's probably not in the best area, and I'm just perusing MySpace and just stalking everybody on MySpace, looking at people having fun, looking at people doing this, looking at people doing that, and I'm like, oh my God. And there's a lady that's in the tech world, and she goes and takes pictures of swimming pools at every single hotel all over the world, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. It was like such a wonder having the world open up to you, that it's a lot of ways, it's so much light that you don't want to sleep. Okay, so that was like the calm before the storm, right? That was back in 2005, 2006, 2005, right? That was the infancy of the 2000s, and then, shit started ramping up. And that was after 9/11, yes, but shit started ramping up and everything. Then you had the mortgage crisis and all that, and then you had the conspiracy world. Then they're like, now you're seeing the world for what it really is. Now here's another truth. Here is what's really going on, right? Then you had the Alex Jones world. And then your whole fucking world just took a dump. That's what I felt like when I first started listening to Alex Jones and listening to the Obama deception and all those movies. I felt like my whole world just was shattered. And then I got into the anti-V world and the chemtrails world, and then it just like the train left the station. Okay, so that's a lot of fucking light. It's a lot of knowledge. It's a lot of truth. It doesn't mean that it's the right truth or the wrong truth. It's just another consideration. Because you're allowed to believe whatever the hell you want. You can think everything is La La Land and Disney and rainbows and unicorns, and that's great. People love it. That's their choice to live in that world. And when they don't want their kids to see another truth, they shield their kids and they censor things. So that way people don't get wind that there is another truth out there. There might be something else that they could help themselves mitigate, whatever. And so that's the thing, is like, you know, when you get so many truths and you get it on Facebook, you can't fucking go to sleep. And then you see that there's danger on the horizon, like the George Guidestones, and then you feel it, and you're seeing your friends around you dropping like flies or contracting cancer disease and chronic illness. Now you're a fucking keyboard warrior, and it's like 24/7. It is activism 24 fucking 7. And you saw what I was doing 24 fucking 7. You saw that. It was freaking insane. I still am on every day, but I can handle that energy. And I know how to feed it. I know how to pull out the old programming, which I did. But you saw the light that was beaming out of me, and some of it was anger. Oh, absolutely. People were triggering me left and right. The trolls were triggering me. Everybody was triggering me and antagonizing me. And I put myself on a main talk show that was also antagonizing, triggering me. But I was just beaming out light. And that can be intoxicating. That can be destructive. And you can see, like Gollum and King Midas, how so much light can be destructive. And so you're going to have to figure out how to fucking go to sleep. And that's what happens is yesterday, when I go to sleep now, not because I'm so tired, it's not that because I'm tired, it's because there's so much fucking energy in me that I have to actually slow down my fucking body and go to sleep and actually force myself to take a nap because of how much energy. And is the coffee on top of an ionic, like the Boostel's coffee on top of the ionic energy in the environment, causing that extreme energy where I have to actually force myself to go to sleep? Potentially, but I can't say correlation equals causation. Again, you can't make that leap. That you still need food, and it's good to have something to drink in the morning, okay? But how strong is it? What is it doing? And what's your biochemistry like? And then what's going on in the environment? You have to list out so many factors to contribute to why you feel a certain way and why you are doing what you're doing. Because yeah, when I have that much energy coursing in me, like right now, I have to feed it. When it's that aggressive, like when I watched that movie Awake, which was like, holy shit, okay? When I watched that movie Awake and I'm like, oh my God, you know, and I'm feeling so energetic and I have to feed it and I have to sit and actually binge on hamburgers and macaroni and cheese. And like I did when I had PMDD, I was binging on pounds and pounds of pasta and spaghetti sauce, okay? That's what helped me get through each bouts of the PMDD in between, you know, feeling crazy and feeling this and feeling that and feeling emotional and all that stuff. The fact that I was able to just eat the food, watch a movie, okay, and distract myself from feeling whatever, and then go to sleep. And then I have the poops and all that stuff. And so it was such a crazy cycle that I really didn't understand. And so yeah, people's like, oh yeah, you should get off the coffee, you should stop eating this, you should stop eating that, and take away this and take away that. That was all the recommendations. And then, oh yeah, why don't you get on birth control? So I did the Yaz for a minute. I had implants of birth control in me for like 5 or 6 years, the Norplant. So I've done most of the things I recommended, but then it came to a head again in 2016 when I was doing the kombucha, thinking that was going to help my gut with all this stuff and the PMDD. And in actuality, it was so much life and so much the life with the sugar and the acids, right? Now, saying sugar is bad, but when you have so much life like kombucha and then you add in the sugar on top of that and you're drinking that predominantly and you're not bringing in the salt, then the teeth start wearing away. The teeth start crumbling from all that acid because there isn't a mineral source like electrolytes, like the salt and the water. Okay, and so then my PMD was becoming even more aggressive in 2016, and then I was thinking about getting surgery. Thank God I didn't have health insurance at the time. Thank God I was still under what we call it, a probationary period, because I just started a job, just got my life insurance license, started a job with that company. And I visited my parents at the time too. That was already set in stone. And then I got out of it. I said, you know what, I'm not doing this. I'm going to go write a book. Because I figured... I I don't know what had me not go with that. I think, yeah, it was like October. It was August, September, October of 2016 where I just said, you know what, this is not for me. This job is not for me. I need to write a book. And then I discovered through pickles, then the cabbage juice, then all that's history. Okay, so now, we have so many people who are emitting so much light and so much life that it's actually destroying them. That it is actually depleting them. Just look at your main characters out there. They are aging aggressively. They're losing collagen. Okay, there's nothing, you can't stop what's going on. You can't stop it. You're gonna have to feed it. You're gonna have to feed the energy. You're gonna have to learn how to slow down. You're gonna learn how to take naps and force yourself to sleep. But right now, you're not even getting to that point, because right now people have so many predisposed issues. They're in so much pain. They don't want to feel the pain. And when you tell someone that's required is to face those demons, and you may have to do a little bit at a time, because too much is obviously, too much life, so then you got to feed it, right? Eventually, yeah, when you start pulling out that program, like I said in my book, that method that I have, it's fucking surefire for me. Hey, I can't guarantee anything for you, because I don't know your your mobility level. Some people have shoulder surgery and back surgery, and they can't do anything but use contraptions. That's the other side of it too. That when you have limited mobility in your arms and even in your legs, you can't sit right. Holy shit, I didn't even think of that. Because I'll tell you, when I'm sitting in the shower and I'm like all in weird positions to make sure everything gets out, and I breathe and cough and blow my nose and all that stuff, and the water's hitting me, and it feels great, because that's what saved me during that time when I felt like mycoplasma. I had full mobility of all my arms and legs, fingers, everything. And I didn't have too much weight to deal with either. I'm in a tub. This is not like a huge big shower or, some communal thing. No, this is just a regular tub. But I didn't think of that. So that's the thing, and so some of you who have relative mobility and have, relative pain tolerance and the freedom, holy shit. Yeah, that will help you. But if you are dealing with so much chronic pain and you don't have the mobility and the freedom to do what I'm doing, I'm so sorry. Fuck, I'm so sorry. And let me tell you, I wish that I could help you. I wish that I could even know what's in your future, so that way if you do ever get incapacitated because that's in your predisposed issues, that you know how to prepare for that you have friends or family or someone to help you through those hard times. And some people, like Ashton Kutcher, was immobile for a year, if that's even the case. Was he immobile for a year? Maybe, maybe not. But he lost certain, 5 senses and mobility for a year. And that's something that's in people's futures too, assuming that they could see that somewhere in their genetic line because of somebody else. Or sometimes if you're adopted, you don't know your genetic line. You don't know what's in your history. But the last how many years you've been alive can probably give you an idea, an indicator. What did you take drugs for? What did you go to the hospital for? What? So, you really have to analyze your whole background to figure out what you're in for. And even, this whole environment will trigger everything that's in your genetic line. So if you don't know by now what you're in for, you'll know pretty soon, because the environment's not going to get any less. It's going to get more aggressive. Forget the J world from it. Forget the J juice, because it's not even about the J juice. That's ionic. That's basically, the J juice is like this environment in a freaking bottle. That's what the J juice is. It's this environment in a bottle. So if you haven't figured out your predisposed issues now, you will pretty soon, and there will be services for you. And so that's a good thing, which means that then you can slowly transition yourself back to life. Because there will be someone there for you, but they'll probably try to give you all the antibiotics and therapies, but that's where you have to figure out what you're willing to deal with. Okay? So, main takeaway, it sucks to be ignorant. In the old world, we paid for the light, the knowledge, the genius. We paid to be smarter than other people. That's why people who I have a degree, I'm smarter than you should listen to me, I'm everything. Now it's like, okay, big fucking deal. I have the goddamn internet. So you have a degree and you're biased and you're being told something because you're lining somebody else's pockets. Here I'm doing my own research, gave my own thesis, still gave props to the medical community and the terms and concepts and definitions. But I learned how to take another truth and apply it to that term and concept and definition. Whereas you over there with your degree is basically touting the party line over there in the medical holistic system. Okay? So I've just taken the wind out of the sails of those who thought they were smarter than me because they had a fucking degree. When I said, you know what, you don't need a fucking degree to have a fucking thought process. Sorry, I just had to say that. Okay, so we pay to be smarter than other people. Oh, I went to Stanford. Oh, I went to Berkeley. Oh, I went to UCLA. Okay, good for you. You learned another really advanced knowledge. But hey, if you have the wherewithal to learn something and you want to learn something, you don't have to pay $20,000 a fucking day to be taught somebody else's product. Because that's what UCLA and Stanford is teaching people, another product for a big, large company like biotech, which is fine because they are advancing humanity, but that's not the end of the line. That's not the world. That's not everything. That you can have a different thought process and not be highly degreed. Okay, you just got to have the foundation and then develop yourself, and that's what we're doing. That's why I talk to you guys, because there's no one I could talk to in my fucking world about this. My husband has a hard time keeping up with me with this information. It makes him crazy. And I fucking understand. So I don't torture him with this information too much. Occasionally I'll say something just to make sure that he knows that there's another way he can do that. Maybe not take the NyQuil, maybe not take this if he doesn't have to. That's pretty much what I say. I don't do this with him. I don't do this with anyone out there because people don't know how to fucking deal with this. This is too much. So then you are relegated to speaking to the fucking world on a monologue versus it back and forth, because no one can really give me another, I have to then look at my husband's world and analyze and understand the trucking industry just in time, understand logistics, understand CB radio stuff and amplifiers. And so then I take whatever I've learned and apply it and give analogies so you get where I'm coming from. But that's why I do these Facebook Lives. This is what's making me smarter, because I'm able to talk to myself. Like I said, when you talk to yourself and you're by yourself because you're the only intelligent person in the fucking room. Yeah, because you're the only one in the room. If I have to be out with other people out there, then it's party time. Then here's have a drink. And here we'll talk about the weather or talk about, politics, religion, or science. But not even science, because that's even a little bit no. And so that's why it's so difficult to hang out with people, because they don't understand where I'm coming from, and I can't talk to them this way. And when you can't talk to people this way, it's hard to just do small talk. It's hard. I mean, I try. Believe me, you've seen me try to fit in with everyone out there. You've seen me. I've drank so much where I got so drunk and I just obliterate myself and look like a fool. And so you do stupid shit to fit in, and then it's not you, and then you're like, okay, I can't do this. And then you get caught up in all the crap, and then you don't want to get caught up in the drama of all that. So then you have to pull yourself out of society, because even academia wouldn't take what I'm saying. I couldn't go back and forth with any academics out there, because remember, they're paid to take everything away from you, take food away from you, take pain away from you, take proteins away from you, and you're like, hey, I'm trying to give it back to you. You gotta feel pain, you gotta pull up the poop, you gotta do this. They're like, no. So I can't even talk to academics. Like my mother, I couldn't talk to her, and she's highly degreed. Okay? So you see what the deal is, what it is that I'm dealing with, and what you guys will eventually deal with when you finally can figure out how to articulate what you're doing, if assuming that's what you want to do. So it's whatever. At this point, it's whatever. So I just do this, and I make myself smarter, because I will keep taking on knowledge. I will sleep, pull out the old programming, anything that will compound and turn into some monster later. And I'll just keep getting smarter and smarter and smarter, and work faster and smarter, and survive this and adapt and not care about that I'm going to offend somebody because of my position on whatever it is. Because our society, it's all about children. It's all about saving children, saving animals, and saving humans, or demonizing animals, children, or humans. And so when you don't fit in those two paradigms, those two dualities are made to distract you, saving or demonizing, you got to pull yourself out of that. You got to just say, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with playing that fucking game. I'm done with saving people. You save your fucking self. You're out there saving animals and want everyone to adopt an animal because they're suffering. Well, stop telling your fucking friends and family, stop breeding them. Stop having puppies. Stop, but you can't tell people that because it's all money or, oh, it's so fucking cute. Yeah, they're cute. We have already too many kids out there that are dealing with shit. We have already too many animals dealing with shit. And now we have these humane societies full of animals that are unwanted, just like the orphanages out there full of unwanted children. And now we're trying our best to get them all adopted to, and it's insane. It's insane. And that's why when I see that on my newsfeed, oh yeah, here, adopt an animal. This is what it means to adopt an animal. Because there's so many of them. People are breeding them so fucking much. They're breeding them and they're selling them, and people take them and then, and they're like, I don't have what it takes to deal with an animal, and they give it right back, or they go and rehome it somewhere else, and or they're out there lost, and people are like, oh yeah, here, someone lost an animal. It's been roaming around here, and it's a cute fucking animal. I don't know how the fuck does that happen. For the 8 years I've had my dog, she never was lost. I never had to go and retrieve her from some neighbor. I don't understand all that. So I just am like, I'm done with that world. So then you become done with all the bullshit in society. You become done with it. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of done with all the bullshit in society. I mean, I still have to circulate and deal with certain things. But I'll tell you, it becomes frustrating when you have a thought process that is completely opposite of everything out there. Okay, wow. I'm not even on coffee, okay? I mean, I had, so when I had the espresso, I would drink a half of it and that would be it. I would have the other half. I barely even drank this coffee. This is straight up waking up this morning. This is the energy that I'm dealing with. I don't need freaking Cafe Bustelo. Holy shit. Okay, take a breath, Jolie. Take a fucking breath. Okay. So now with so much knowledge and genius at your fingertips, people are paying to go back to sleep, even if it's for 8 hours. The internet, like taking melatonin. Even the internet is too bright, and social media is too bright for some people. It's too much for some people. And so people are paying to have the pain be taken away. They can't handle this much light, knowledge, genius, life. And so I used to binge eat meat, carbs, sleep to survive in between bouts of PMDD. Now, I have to, if I feel there's so much energy and I can feel it in my stomach right now, I feel awesome. Like all the energy is to my head right now, and to my mouth, and to my hands. But eventually, like around 12, I will feel the energy in my stomach. And that means that the stomach is eating itself. It's wanting to food. And so then I have to go feed it. And I have plenty of pasta and meat and milk. I don't even drink milk. The cream, I'm taking to the big guns, the high artillery, which is whipped cream, because that's max amount of life. I need it in this environment. When towards the end of the day, after all that energy conversion, I even take some whipped cream and put it in a cup and just eat it like that, because that's the life it's going to give me to handle this energy. And so I feel the stuff, I'll feel farty and all that stuff in the evening, and I'll go to sleep, and I'll wake up every so often, but I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I wake up maybe around 4 or whatever. I wake up intermittently, but I do go to sleep. And then I wake up and my eyes are wide awake. It's like 6 o'clock and my eyes are wide awake. There is no needing to hit the alarm clock. I don't have an alarm clock. Okay? And so sleeping in this environment, you have to eat to sleep. And people are taking melatonin and taking their cannabis and all the different drugs so they can sleep. That's because you're deficient, because this environment is causing the body to work on a continuous basis. I mean, your body does work on a continuous basis, but even more so in a highly ionic environment such as this. And so people are getting depleted faster because they're not retaining the energy and keeping up with their hormones. And they're so active, and they have to be, because now that the environment is like double, triple of what it used to be, taking care of your kids, doing your job, and doing what you usually do has accelerated the activity level. And even doing one little thing is like doing 10 things. That's why when I'm sitting on the couch and I feel the energy, I'm sitting on the couch, but I'm actually running too at the same time. I could be sitting and running at the same time because of how ionic the energy is. And that's hard to explain to someone who is so under the influence. But when they're feeling pain, that's exactly the same thing that I'm feeling, but I'm feeling it in a different way. And so now I realize that my life of PMDD was a conditioning process for this time. So when I took the time off and I didn't go to family gatherings or go to this or go to that, and I had to take time to sleep and eat and be whatever, that saved my life. Even though people are like, oh, Jillian's stupid. She's not coming. She's dropping out again, or she's calling in sick again, or she lost another job again, and she's like, out there running around all over the freaking US trying to figure out where the hell she's supposed to be again. That's the reason why I had so much fucking energy, but I also had to go through that process of sleep. It was such people could say, oh, it's manic depressive or she's bipolar. Oh yeah. If I would have gone to the medical system and I told them all of my behaviors, they would have probably diagnosed me bipolar, and they would have given me drugs. They would have drugged the fuck out of me, and I would have been in an institution and just drooling or something. Okay. But no, I mean, it wasn't bad. I just went off to everywhere and got experiences and maybe got in trouble here and there, but not trouble enough to be, with the law or almost die. But I mean, potentially those things could have happened if it was in different circumstances. But I got out of the situation, so by the skin of my teeth or whatever. And I went back to brass tacks. I'm like, okay, I went and had fun and okay, did stuff here. And I came back and learned the office and learned this and learned that and stayed put for a minute and partied on the weekends and went to my job and was awesome at it, and then the PMDD came around again. And so pain is a ticket to the next world. The next world will be amazing. So when you know that somebody who has been through like an MK Ultra and they've been programmed for a specific thing, you see how talented they are. They see how amazing, how beautiful they are. Look at Paris Hilton, Britney Spears, even Amanda Bynes. But you see then, if they don't keep up and release that old programming, they start deteriorating. And so then you see Britney Spears, you see, Paris Hilton now explaining herself and she has children. And then you see Amanda Bynes going through her own psychological episodes. And you saw me go through my own stuff. But you see that through all that pain came the beauty, came the talent. But now you have to evolve. Once that's been, utilized up and used up and the light burned bright, and then you see the stars fall. The star doesn't have to fall. It just needs to evolve. It needs to stay alive. And so through all this pain that we're going through right now with the climate change, with the economic crisis, the bank stuff, and there's going to be beauty in the future, but you're going to have to deal with all the bullshit right now, and you're going to have to find a way to survive it. Okay, not resist it, not activist it against it. You're going to have to survive it. You're going to have to feed it. You're going to have to maybe stay home more than not, because I'll tell you, when you have the Second Amendment, but they're trying to take away high capacity magazines for a reason, because if you're feeling homicidal, okay, that's not good, and having a high capacity magazine is not good. And so if you have just a regular handgun, then you won't have as much damage, and maybe you turn on yourself instead of hurting somebody else. That's not that sucks, but that was in Awake. That makes sense. That movie Awake on Netflix, that people were staying up so much, their brain was getting scrambled. Their brain was seeing things and feeling things and assuming things that weren't real, and they were hurting other people, and then eventually they hurt themselves. And so that's why legislation now with the ionic activity, the zombie apocalypse, they're trying, okay, now we got to take away all the high capacity magazines because some people are losing their shit. And you see that. You can say, oh, it's been contrived. It's one of those MK Ultra people but I mean, how far are you going to take the conspiracy world? How far are you going to take it? How far are you going to take the whole sleeper cells? We're all sleeper cells. We've all been conditioned with violence. We've all been conditioned with not feeling pain and taking cures. We're all sleeper cells. Just some of us have released those demons so we don't become like that on, in our society on TV. Okay, but we're all sleeper cells. Now you have to release those demons and teach your kids how to release those demons in a way that makes sense so they don't become something like what happened over there in Tennessee. Because I could even see in some kids out there that I've met over the years that they have the propensity to be something pretty crazy in the future because of how they came into this world and what their situation is today. And you could tell that just by what they say that there's a lot of potential for violence. And if you cross them, you don't know what you're going to trigger. And that's pretty scary when you see that in a child. When you see that in a child, already the propensity for something like that. You know how crazy are. That's why they're guiding reproduction carefully, because look what we're producing. We're producing some sleeper cells. We're producing that. And that's through the pharmaceuticals, through the herbal tinctures, through all the cures. And then we're having kids on top of that. You really think that it's not the system, really, when you think of it. I mean, it is a system, but it's not like the power elite contriving everything. It's the fact that we've bought into not feeling stuff and releasing stuff. We bought into holding everything in. And we bought into looking cute and looking, socially acceptable and all that stuff, that we're going to disfigure ourselves and disfigure our children in order to blend in and adapt, and also get accolades from, people that want to be popular and be, talented and all that stuff. And you see where that's getting people. And so you are the unique identifier. That's why I don't care that they're using biometrics, because really, when you think about it, when you're out there open, and like I am, I don't tell you everything that I do, because you have no reason to watch me go to the bathroom. You have no reason to watch me take a shower. That's just like fucking stupid. But I say, okay, I take a shower, I go to the restroom, I don't do drugs, okay? I have taken pot and marijuana in my life, and even if I did it intermittently for whatever reason, it's not like, but even then I really don't have a need for it. There's no reason for it. It doesn't even do anything really to me when you think about it. What's the point of it? What's the point of it? Just to see what it does. Then what? Okay? And in this environment, pot and marijuana, it wouldn't work for someone like me, because my body would process it out so quickly that it would be a waste. For somebody else, they have a slower immune system, that it would take, and they would feel the effects, because they have those proteins inside of them, and they're not converting that energy as quickly, like my body would convert the energy so quickly that it doesn't do anything. I'd have to take so much for it to do something, and I don't want to do that. There's no point in it. So for me, there's no reason for me to have any drugs in my world. There's no reason for it. I'm not suffering, and I don't have any issues, and it would be for only just to fit in, to a situation and be at the same level. Because when you have to take drugs, be on the same level with people, that's like, why? Is your light too bright for people that you have to be on drugs in order to hang out with them? That's kind of the situation that people are in. So, but for the most part, I'm pretty transparent. There is nothing hidden. I don't have a private group or anything. I have my Facebook. It's open to everybody. There's something to be said for transparency. When people are hiding behind, fake accounts, or hiding, or don't want to really put too much on their Facebook lest somebody read something into what they say, what are you hiding? What are you afraid of? But then it's my right to privacy. Nothing's fucking private. There is nothing private. Even if you're off of social media, but you still have to pay your bills and pay your landlord, or you need a phone so you can call this. If you got off of your phones and you got off everything, then you'd be living what? In the middle of the wilderness with nothing except for the bears. But even then, you're subject to the ionosphere. They're subject to all the activity through the weather. And you think that you can really, people do survive out there in the wilderness, but that's like going back to being a caveman. Okay, so how far are you going to take it? And so, yeah, so transparency isn't bad. And then, we know that people do nefarious stuff with their social security numbers. They do nefarious stuff with their phones. They do nefarious stuff with cash. Okay. All right. People do so much nefarious stuff with it. So that's why they're tracking everybody, because they know that if everyone's tracked, I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just they're trying to alleviate from all the nefarious crap, and smaller communities, right? When you're dealing with smaller pods versus when you have a classroom of 30 people versus a classroom of 15 people, it's easier to deal with 15 than 30. So when I went to Faria A+ school back in Saratoga, Cupertino, when I was a kid, they had smaller classrooms. In public school, they had 30 kids. When you go to freaking college, you have like 100 people in a college class sometimes. Okay? But in community college, it was a little bit smaller. But when you're in a large university where it's just churning and burning out students, you have 100 people. And so you're going to have to, figure out stuff when you're in a bunch of 100 people. And there's always like wild cards when you're with 100 people being taught the same thing. You get a little more diversity, and then you get, the professor is the one that makes out, because he gets to read everyone's perspective. And then he develops his hypothesis. And so, yeah, when you go to college, you're actually helping a professor develop his postdoc, whatever it is that he's, well, he's not, he's postdoc. So he develop whatever theories, and then he uses the students to help him get those theories out there and on the market, or have a new discovery. But smaller communities are easier to deal with when they know, like when my government knows everyone on this block, okay? When they know, then they know who has potential to be stupid. They know who's doing drugs. They know who has mental issues. They know all this stuff. So when you deal with smaller communities, you know who people are. Like when you go to a small, like in Hawaii, we all knew who everybody was because we all went to the same watering holes. Even though we didn't work at the same places, but we all went to the same watering holes or went to the same, tourist places. And so it's like a small town. When you're in a small town, everyone knows everyone's business. Okay, then you have the gossip stuff, but that's fine. People can gossip, but if you can articulate what you're doing and if you're transparent, then there's really nothing, there's no power in gossip when you can actually say this is what's going on. When you're transparent, no one can really gossip about you because you're putting it fucking out there. There's no room for, assumptions, right? I mean, still, people can make assumptions because they're not around you 24/7. But you just got to be a little bit of privacy. I mean, come on. And so, anyways, so there's that. And yeah, watch that movie Awake. So America, after watching that movie, why do you think the system promotes the Second Amendment? Oh, that's right. We already said that. Okay. Because I saw that people were committing whatever after committing suicide. So we're heading into an extremely stormy season and the particles will be accelerating astronomically. Be careful out there. Okay. I thought I would be napping yesterday. I finally did take a nap around 3 o'clock around 3 o'clock to about 4:30, about an hour and a half. I took a nap so I could slow down my system because I could feel the energy. I could feel it. It was like insane. So I had to sleep. So you get so awake that you have to go to sleep to save yourself. That's how aggressive it is out there. Okay. And when you have predisposed issues and you're bigger, you'll feel the energy. If you have predisposed issues and you're smaller, well, people are getting skinnier. Okay, people who are skinny are getting skinnier. They're losing life force. Being skinny in this environment is not going to serve you. Being skinny in this environment, you're already way behind the 8 ball in this environment. Being skinny and looking sexy and all that stuff was great in a slower frequency because you had the lag time to build up the substance to keep you alive despite your lifestyle and belief system and all the surgeries and all the little shit that's out there. But in this environment, doing the herbs, getting your kids on the herbs and all this other stuff is only going to put them way behind the 8 ball. They will be in such deficit. And that's what sucks right now with the kids nowadays that are under all the different therapies and surgeries and tinctures and herbs and all that stuff is that the herbs and all the stuff they're taking are going to be influenced, and the environment's going to give those herbs and things that much power to cure them until they can't be cured anymore. That's the danger right now with kids because they're already at a deficit. They're building up to their potential. But when you take your kids to an herbologist or getting all the surgeries and all that stuff, now they're getting their potential being sucked out of them, literally, or being cured. And so you think they're going to be able to handle, they'll be growing up at such deficits that when the rubber does meet the road finally and they have a diagnosable condition, it'll be very extremely hard, if at all even possible, for them to get out from under being in that much deficiency. And so I feel for the kids nowadays in this environment. Because when you think about the skinny mom and a skinny dad, then you have really skinny children who are already deficient, have eating issues, who can't handle mucus and pain. Parents are setting them up for failure. They won't have what it takes in a highly ionic environment. The energy in the environment will suck the life out of them. And the parents are helping the system out with with the balance of the population, the depopulation agenda. So if I have to keep up with the energy of the environment by eating and sleeping and taking it easy, imagine these kids out there that are living their life as if everything is great and their parents are totally unaware, worshiping the herbologists out there. That's the last of the dying breed. That's the last of the dying breed. So enjoy it while you can. If you're not willing to change the way you do things, enjoy it. But those that have the capacity, that have the situation to now finally deal with stuff, I suggest you do it. Take advantage of it now, because I'll tell you, it's not going to get any easier. If anything, it's going to get harder. All right, bye.